Over the front. Stephanie, if you want to go through your budget and then highlight any changes or any, additional requests that you've made, that would be helpful.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and start on the clerk side. My biggest thing every year is salary. As Paul Joyce with AIC spoke at our clerks conference this year, he calls it wage gate when it comes to the clerk's office and what our duties are when it comes to the judicial center or the judicial branch of government. And so there's that gap. Unfortunately, my office is always compared to all the offices here in our county when it comes to first deputy, second deputy, third deputy. Even though our job duties are very different depending on which department you're in, we still get all, so our first deputy, second deputy, third deputy get paid as every office that has a first, second, and third deputy here in this building. We're always very blessed to get a 3% or 5% raise, but unfortunately it keeps broadening that gap that my department has with our other departments in the judicial branch of our government. I just lost my last paralegal in my office, and her exit interview stated every question, what's the primary reason for your decision to leave the position? Higher salary. Give one incident that contributed to your decision to leave your position. Higher salary. So every one of her answers to the whole exit interview was higher salary. Of course, I was very excited for her. We are a close family in my office, and it's a great promotion for her to go to Superior Court. But unfortunately, in that, her being promoted over there and getting ready for January 1, it also crippled my department. Like I said, she was a first deputy, moving over to equivalent first deputy position in the court system with a $4,000 raise. There's no way that I could give her any incentive to stay. And basically, that's another question on the exit interview, and basically it was because of the higher salary. So when it comes to that, my hands are tied. It was very eye-opening to me when I moved some people around in my office and had a third deputy position open. I had over 20 applicants because I had to put it on social media because the time before I only had 4 applicants to a position when I just posted it with the papers and whatnot. But when I had people who work in the fast food industry making more than a third deputy in my department, how do I compete against that? Come on in, enjoy the stress level. You have no legal experience, but you're expected to be a paralegal in my office. So a county position used to be something it was a privilege to work for the county. Unfortunately, with our economy now, I can't compete against someone who is making more at a fast food restaurant in a non-management position to come to my office. Luckily I was able to hire somebody that had clerical experience and very knowledgeable with computers, but had no legal experience. And unfortunately, in the state of Indiana, in a clerk's office, you're expected to have legal experience. Basically, you're a paralegal because of our duties. So that's why I asked again for raises. Like I said, we're always very fortunate when you all give a 3 or 5% raise, but unfortunately when there is a gap in pay in a department, it widens that gap. And I can't compete. And it's a problem all over the state, according to my fellow clerks. They can't compete against the court system when they lose their employees. Floyd County just recently had a firm come in and make job descriptions for each department, and then gave the council a pay scale based on their job duties.
Do you have a copy of that you could provide the council?
I can ask
Okay.
Floyd County if they want to give that, but no, they had a firm come in, Wagner, Irwin, and Steele come in and do job descriptions for all their departments.
Not just the clerk's office?
Not just the clerk's office, they did. Because they're losing employees too, out of the government to the private sector.
What was the name of that firm again?
It's Wagner, Irwin, and Steele. They came in and gave job descriptions. They talked to the department head, they talked to the employee, they talked to the councils, they talked to the commissioners, and made a job description for those positions.
Did they also do anything with performance evaluations?
That I do not know.
Okay.
But it's something that we need, I think, as a county, we need to look at. I mean, each one of our departments is a puzzle piece. You know, when it comes to judicial branch of government, you know, my office is the puzzle piece. And so it always pains me that my deputies are paid the same exact as someone, and into the offices over here. If a case is not pulled through our system, it does not affect the surveyor's office, the treasurer's office, the recorder's office. If one of my deputies do not do their job, it does not affect any department over here. Logistically, my department is over there with the court systems. That's what the function of my office is. And again, you know, I was excited that my deputy was able to be promoted, especially with this economy. $4,000 extra is great for her family. But then again, I can't compete, and it was very eye-opening when I went through the applications, and I had people that were making $60,000 applying, and then when I told them what the wages were for, what the wages was, they were like, oh, I just assumed.
I think that's true in your office and also the court system. I've known some people even applying as a paralegal, and I mean, there's probably a $30,000 a year pay gap between the private sector and county government, at least locally.
Well, we have another department in the judicial branch of government here that they have applicants that apply, and it is a $30,000 difference. Now, I'm not asking for my deputies to get $30,000 more, because that's not, when I did the salary for the clerk's office, and the Porter County clerk is currently doing that. Again, they're updating that. But just based on our population in Washington County and comparing those with clerk's offices across the state, give or take 1,000 in our population, we are way under. Even from Jennings, Scott County, I mean, our county is under what the clerk's getting paid and what their deputies are getting paid. Now, as an election administrator, when I see a ballot with no contested races on it, the ones who are on there are not going to be here forever. I'm not going to be here forever. Kyra's not going to be here forever. Phil, if there's no contested races, unless you are, you know, have a 2-income family, what's the purpose of being an elected official? Our servant hearts are only so big. Because to be perfectly honest, if I didn't have a 2-income household, there's no way I could work and be an elected official. I mean, and when I'm paying for a ballot to be built and there's hardly any contested races on the ballot, that speaks volumes. I mean, I don't see contested races. I mean, I'm not putting all this effort forth, but it comes down to the income. That's the feedback I get. So it's something that all counties in the state are having issues with. It's something that our county has seen a turnover in employees. So we need to have something, because another thing she had on here is she moved over because of higher salary and holidays. My department now gets 7 holidays. We get 9 paid, we get 7 actual holidays. I can't offer anything.
The court system gets more holidays, or saying?
Right, because our summer holidays are the elections, the primary and the general. My employees do not get off of that. They get paid, but they get to work 20 hours.
Madam President,
Yes.
may I speak?
Yes.
Okay, Stephanie, what I was going to say here is that we have tried over the years here, as you know, we've got so much money to deal with. And we've tried over the years here to take certain departments and get them up close to where they need to be. So we might take yours into consideration this time. We try to get one, but I don't know that we will or can do that. But that's what we have tried to do in the past. So we're trying to get everybody up with what sources that we have.
Right, and I appreciate that, because that's why I haven't added more employees. That's like when I took office in July of 2019 and inherited a budget that was already submitted. That's why I dissolved one position and rearranged stuff to give the money on paper. And unfortunately that year that didn't work. But now, you know, I'm seeing a crisis. If I keep losing employees and I can't get, if somebody can work at a private law firm as a paralegal and make more money and have more holidays, because when it comes to the holidays and the pay, my hands are tied. I can be as flexible as I can, you know, all my employees are working mothers, and I can be as flexible as I can, but when it comes to holidays and the benefits, my elected officials, department heads, their hands are tied.
Well, Stephanie, we appreciate you sharing with the information about the consultant that a neighboring county has used. I think that is helpful for us. With that, would you like to move on to the next budget and talk about any changes that you've made, you know, in regards to your salary? I think that point is well taken. So if you can go through your elections budget, that would be helpful.
Yes, and I have no changes on any of my line items on the clerk side. I always, you know, keep going through every month just to make sure that I am on track and to be creative when it comes to the spending because of inflation. With the clerk or the election side, I've done the same there. And I've kept the election budget pretty much the same because of the inflation. We do have our city election and the county absorbs 25% of that. And then with Hardensburg on the radar to possibly have an election, that I want to keep my money the same, because coding the ballots and, you know, we have to go ahead and prepay for everything and then seek our reimbursement from the city and then possibly Hardensburg. So I've kept everything the same. The ballots, line item 37100 under total supplies, I've kept that the same, just in case there is an overage on anything, then that money could be moved. But we will be still purchasing ballots for the city of Salem and forecasted for the election for Hardensburg. So every other line item is still the same. I haven't added anything to that. So basically the only change in my budget on the clerk side and the election side is the salary. And when it comes to the salary, I've, you know, shot high, hoping to fall somewhere in between where we're at now and that number.
Council, do you have any questions for Stephanie?
Stephanie, I got one on your, maybe I'm not clear on this, on supplies. You had
On the clerk side or election side?
clerk side, or the clerk side. Clerk side.
Okay.
You had a total appropriation of $4880 with expenses of $464. And are you not using any more than that?
I don't have to,
On page?
my format looks a little bit different than what you possibly have now.
Okay, I'm showing on 20100,
On supplies, 4,500.
I'm showing 48,897, and you had expenses of 464.41. Is that in the office itself?
Let's see. Under supplies, I have last year's appropriation was $4,500.
Okay. This year, you're showing, I'm showing 48,897. When you're showing expenses of $464.41, which will left you 44,1656.
Okay, I haven't went over on anything, so I don't know.
No, he's asking, do you have plans to spend that the rest of the year? There's still a significant amount versus what has been appropriated, and we're halfway through the year. Will you be spending the rest of that line item, which is
Usually what happens on
4,100?
that, it's for paper and whatnot, so right now, paper's outrageous. So usually I wait till the last quarter to see what is needed. Because usually I don't like to spend the first and second quarter, possibly into the third quarter. So more than likely I'll use it, but I always like to wait, and then I pick up deals on paper throughout the year, but I don't spend it in lump sums.
Okay?
So the expenditures there on that graph are year-to-date? Is it?
It should be, if that's what you're all looking at. I don't have it,
Yeah,
the same thing in front of me.
looking at.
The same way with the election side, because unfortunately when it comes to like the election side, I'm at the mercy of the state. They come up with something, say for instance, the response of poll workers. They might mandate that we pay them extra. Well, if we already have that line item as far as our poll workers, but if I have extra money left over, say in supplies or maintenance, then I can have that moved over to the poll worker line item. So that way I always stay within my budget. I'm not coming back and ever asking for anything. The only thing I foresee that would have money left at the end of the year would be the ballots. Because of course I'm not projecting to spend $15,000 on ballots. Because we're only going to need enough for the city of Salem and possibly Hardinsburg.
Any other questions from the council? Okay, all right, thank you, Stephanie. We do have on Thursday a blank schedule, so if we need to call you back, we'll call you back on Thursday.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.